WrestleMania 40. This is a pretty big one, and we'll try and just go through these matches, see how we feel, and review them. I'm sure the Rock and the main events are gonna last a little longer in terms of like our perspectives and stuff. But let's start with WrestleMania. The biggest, by the way, they talked about how WrestleMania 40 this weekend is the biggest weekend they've ever had, the biggest gates. They've had the biggest gate on SmackDown, and then Raw had the biggest, it must be domestic, of all time. WrestleMania 40 as a PLE was the second biggest watched event or thing on Peacock, but right under some football event. I forgot what it was, but that's crazy. Like that there's a lot of sports, there's a lot of content on there, and to be the second biggest streaming thing of all time, I feel like NBC Universal is probably shooting themselves in the foot about, why they didn't get Raw or SmackDown onto their streaming service, because that's pretty nuts. And you're probably going to lose them next year. I mean, insane. So we'll start with WrestleMania 40 Night 1. We'll go with the Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee match versus Santos, Escobar, and Dominik Mysterio. Now, Dragon Lee wasn't part of this match. He was replaced by Andrade, but I feel like Andrade was shined really well here, and I thought it was a really good match. What did you guys think of this tag team match? Where do you think this goes from here now that Rey Mysterio and Andrade won? Any thoughts?
I hope they move on and find something else to do other than Santos and everybody. But I'm sure they still gotta figure out who attacked Dragon Lee and things like that.
Right.
What does this mean? Andrade's on SmackDown now? Because I thought he was a Raw superstar.
Good question. I mean, I feel like, and again, this goes back to the concept of the draft, which takes place at the end of the month. It feels like they don't always follow through with these people who are supposed to be specifically on Raw or SmackDown. Cody Rhodes jumps back and forth right now. I mean, he kind of has to, I guess, because he's technically a Raw superstar, and he's also the WWE champion, which is a SmackDown belt. So I don't know, but I agree with you with the Rey and Dominik thing. They've had their feud last year, and they kind of carried it over now, and there's a blow-off match between Dominik and Andrade next week on Raw. So we'll see. I feel like this feud isn't ending yet. I feel like it's kind of like the bloodline and just this concept that Triple H has now of just kind of evolving and morphing it, giving it another chapter. To be fair, like you said, the LWO and Legado del Fantasma has been going at it for a while, and it doesn't feel like they were going anywhere really with this story. Like, this guy was mad at this person, this guy was mad at this person. That I feel like there were not too many new layers to it besides that, like promos that made me think like, ooh, yes, I'd like to see this. It's still simmering. It didn't reach a boil yet. So maybe we'll see something from them. But Andres, any additional thoughts?
On them too much. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of getting a little. It's almost like burning out, but it's like, what else can they do? So I think right now they'll just probably continue with this for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like you said, they have their set match going into next week. After that, though, I don't know. It's like once Ray and his son already established their fight, and then they just kind of still continued it. Maybe do like an all-out grouping fight between more of a LWO and
War Games.
Judgment Day.
Yes. War Games. Yeah, maybe the blow-off will be War Games.
Yeah, maybe set them up for that.
Survivor Series. Who knows?
But you also got obviously the Judgment Day won the world title on both the female and male side now. So maybe I doubt it, but maybe LWO can have contenders at some point to rival them for taking that gold. I don't think so, but just trying to throw ideas out there what they could do if they kept the rivalry between the groups. Because you remember DX had their fight with the corporation, and that was a bigger scale of a thing, but they were taking their gold from them back and forth and stuff like that.
Right.
But Yeah, I doubt it's gonna be like that. I don't know.
I mean, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's really all there really is to it.
Next, we have Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill versus Damage Control. Now, let me just say that the entrance of Bianca, Naomi's, and Jade's, like, they just looked like complete badasses, and they threw around the name of the Big Three. I mean, I feel like, one, that's a good name, and two, their whole aura was just, off the charts. Just pure. I mean, just the entrance, the presence when they walked down. I was getting some X-Men vibes coming from it. Very, very good stuff. And they had a pretty good match with Damage Control, I gotta say. Jade Cargill was around 80% of the match. It felt like Naomi and Bianca Belair were doing most of the work with Damage Control. And eventually they gave Jade Cargill the hot tag, and she came in, bulldozed through everybody, and they got the victory. What did you guys think of Jade Cargill's first WrestleMania match?
She looked good.
Yeah,
Looked
it
great.
was good.
I
Yeah.
felt like it wasn't too long, and it wasn't like too short.
Yes.
Like they definitely found like a nice medium time for her to have like such a high spot.
Yep.
And yeah, no.
Yeah, I think they
It
utilized
reminded me
it.
a lot of 6-man tags in like Attitude Era time, where it's probably under 10 minutes. Everybody looks good.
No nonsense.
Get out of there. Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
and I think it's a good way to help Jade, get her feet more wet into the ring with the newer talent now, and it's a good way to establish her. Because I mean, she really looks intimidating, but she's also doing the work for it. Not too long, but just enough to get it like, okay, we're here now. We're at this point, WrestleMania spot, and she did a great job for what it was.
I mean, and also, I feel like it'll be interesting to see where the group goes. Are they going to become an official faction, or are they just kind of like loosely tied together? Like, we're kind of an alliance, but we're not an official faction. Like, we're not named the Big Three. We just kind of call ourselves that. We're not like Damage Control, where we have our own theme song and group. I'm kind of curious to see where that goes and how quickly it'll take for them to turn on each other. Because I feel like that's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you remember we had that stare down between Bianca and oh man,
Jade?
Jade. Yeah, during the Rumble, and like people were like, "Oh damn!" So I'm assuming that's going to be a thing later. Probably for a title match down the line, maybe. I don't know, but I can assume that they're going to rival those two because that's some big, those are two big names that everyone was anticipating. And when we actually got to see it for the first time, everyone was like into it. Yeah, going forward, they might not be a group, but they'll be like a group of friends, but not like a stable. Because I don't know, like even Damage Control, do they need like another group to rival?
I
Kind
feel
of thing.
like they do. I mean, who knows?
I mean,
Who knows if they'll stick around? I mean, I feel like they will for now. Bailey's obviously gone. She has the title. I feel like Io Sky might get some kind of rematch because she's held it on for so long. But we'll see.
We'll see.
The next match is the 6-pack tag team ladder match. This was crazy. We had flying bodies everywhere, people going through tables, people getting head first through ladders. We had DIY dressed as DX. We had a hot tag from R-Truth, which was probably my highlight of the night for that specific night. Just a really good, like, balls to the wall spot fest. Just really good match. And as people have predicted, and Michael Cole specified, that the match won't end until both sets of straps were removed, which people made the assumption that means they're splitting up the belts. And lo and behold, that's what they did. And we got R-Truth and The Miz holding the Raw Tag Team belts, and we have A-Town Down Under, aka Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, holding the SmackDown tag titles. Right decision, wrong decision. What do you guys think? Also, what do you think of the match?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it was really good.
I enjoyed it too. Overall, good match. The outcome, I'm okay with, but like I don't know. Austin Theory's in that weird spot where like, what do they do with him in a way? So like giving him the tag belt's good, but I don't know. Like he was already built up to be this like big singles superstar, you know,
Right.
rivaling John Cena. And now he's relegated to this tag match and now has the tag belt and stuff. And I mean, Truth and Miz winning, cool, fine with that. But then I don't know. We'll see about A-Town and stuff like that. I mean, maybe this is a good chance for him to like, you know, shine in a different division and stuff and go from there. So, but overall, great match. Had a lot of fun with it. Usually ladder matches go pretty well. There isn't really any bad ones really sometimes, but like, everyone else did their part. Everyone looked good, and it was a good outcome. I feel.
Sweet. Yeah, I don't know who else. I mean, I feel like the Judgment Day. They've had the belts long enough, and I feel like their story should be going in a new direction. It kind of feels like it already is. They're already kind of splintering. I mean, Damian Priest just won it, the title belt, but I have a feeling like he will be sort of a transitional champion and drop the belt at Clash at the Castle. We'll talk about that match in a second, but I think A-Town Down Under is the right team to hold it on SmackDown. I think they're really good as a tag team. They're both about the same age. They both have similar personalities that they're portraying on TV, both kind of young assholes, you know. I think they have good chemistry, and they're also really good workers. So my issue initially with the concept of them splitting the actual tag team belts was if there were enough tag teams to, you know, maintain some kind of interest, if it's not the same 3 tag teams going after those belts. And that was my worry when they split them up, you know. But I think that they have a good number of tag teams on both Raw and SmackDown where you can have some actual feuds, you know, and it's not just, you know, New Day versus
The Usos.
Yeah, the Usos, like number 556. I think they have more of a variety now, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of this conversation will probably be moot once the draft happens. There might be people who are just swapped out and won't be in teams or in factions anymore. So we'll see what they do creatively there. Maybe if they're in a faction, they just move them as a group instead of individually. But we'll see. Now, this next match that we'll talk about, Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso, really good on paper. But a lot of people thought this was a stinker. Did you guys think this match was good? Did you have any thoughts about Jey versus Jimmy?
The general consensus I saw online was that too, that it was just like, what is this? Like everyone was like, I saw those memes of like the matches and they're using that clip from Starship Troopers where it's like all the spacemen. It's like, I did my part. And then it shows the match of Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso's like, I didn't do shit, you know? So I was like, what?
Super kick fest.
Yeah. The only thing I was thinking about, because I saw a meme that showed that like, this is the third match between actual brothers like wrestling each other. Like the first was Bret Hart and Owen, and then it was the Hardys, and then it was Jey and Jimmy. And I was thinking, I'm like, for some reason I understood it that like people were kind of shitting on it because like Bret and Owen fought very differently or wrestled very differently. Jeff and Matt also wrestled very differently too. The only thing they really had in common was like their finishers. Jimmy and Jey, man, they're both the same, like really in a lot of ways. You know, and that's not to say because they're twins, but it's just like a lot of their fluidity when they wrestle. They're both like so identical that I feel like maybe that's what made it not so good either. Because I don't know, one thing, you're doing the same thing over again, sure, but there's only so many wrestlers that can get away with it because they're already a well-established, great big name like John Cena, sure. But like, if you had 2 John Cenas doing the same crap,
right?
Maybe like,
it'd be good,
you know. So I could. It'd be interesting, but I don't know. I saw the match later because I was curious because I saw a lot of the online comments about it, and I was like, huh. But then I was already kind of like in my head already kind of like maybe I'm gonna see exactly what people are saying, and I saw it, and I'm like,
you feel like you were influenced by their opinions,
maybe a little bit. But I saw it, and I was like, yeah, because I mean, versus the rest of the card, you know, it definitely felt like the weaker match. I would say.
What did you think, David, of yeet versus no yeet? Do you give it a yeet or do you give it a no yeet?
I give it a yeet. Like that match, like moveset wise, I don't know what everybody else was expecting.
Right.
Because they do have, it's kind of like watching Matt versus Nick Jackson or like something like that. Like
similar movesets.
Yeah. They got the same moves. Like maybe if more happened in like their story leading up to it, other than just the one screwing up the one title shot and everything that had happened previously, like they did a lot of calling back to really old stuff.
Right.
But like maybe if they were in each other's hair, or maybe if they're in each other's hair more in the Rumble and things like that, like it would have. Maybe it was the build.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been the build too.
I think that maybe they wrote it up. They didn't like necessarily write off the match, but there was still going to be more to the story since Jay ended up tackling Jimmy off the ramp.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I don't think it's ended completely. Now, we'll talk about this on the Raw after Mania, but Jey Uso does get an opportunity for the World Heavyweight Championship at Backlash. Ooh. So we'll see if that will be a clean match or if Jimmy Uso goes in and screws him over, kind of like what CM Punk did for Drew McIntyre. But we'll talk about that later. Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I held the belief that the build for this match and the potential outcome of Sami Zayn beating Gunther for the title felt, I don't want to say undeserved, but I feel like that's the word I want to use because it felt like a short build for such a big title reign. He's held the title for 660. Gunther's held the title for 666 days, so it felt like Sami's build, which was like about a month or so, if that, to fight Gunther, felt undeserved. But I gotta say, once this match actually happened and the way that they built the match leading up to it, the last 2 weeks involving his wife, the promo that he cut, that Sami cut, that was really good. And then this match, I gotta tell you, was I talked about the highlight of my night was like R-Truth, like the moment, but the match of the night for me was Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental. I mean, I felt it was just so good. The pacing, Sami Zayn just knows how to sell moves and just make you feel like emotional. It felt like Rocky IV, he's just really good at what he does. And after this match, I changed my mind and I thought that he deserved it wholeheartedly, but I don't want to influence your opinions and put words in your mouth. So what this Intercontinental Championship match, how did you guys feel about the build, the outcome? What did you think?
I wasn't too big on the build, but I was happy with the outcome. I mean, it's kind of hard. Well, I wouldn't say it was hard, but it's like Sami's kind of done a lot in the last year.
Right.
So maybe that's also why we felt it was really fast, because everything else, like especially like Bloodline stuff, was cooked really slow.
Yes.
Over a long time. So that might be part of it. But the match was great. Like, it was nice to like see on the internet all over like the callbacks to their matches in the Indies.
Mm-hmm. That brainbuster off the top turnbuckle.
Yeah, well, that was Sami's finisher.
Yeah, that looked nasty in a good way.
It was cool that he got to bring that out.
Yeah, I don't think he actually tried it since the Indies, right? That's what folks on the internet say, but
yeah, well, brainbuster is not really a E-approved move like a power driver. Like, like they kind of have to get the approval to use those, and especially like even with power drivers, they only try to bring them out to make it seem like a big deal.
I mean, it's a new era, as they like to hammer. They hammered that home every night this week. Triple H.
Yep.
Andre.
Yeah, I'd say even for me, like I didn't really pay too much attention to the rivalry. I mean, once we went to Raw and I saw it for myself, then I started looking more into it. And yeah, it was a lot. It was about like a short time really to be building it up, but really, it was actually one of my favorite matches too. I mean, it just shows to show you how good of workers they were for their promos and into the ring. So honestly, yeah, I really enjoyed the match. I was very happy with the outcome, and you know, despite having a short build up, I felt more drawn and more emotionally invested in this than like Jimmy and Jay, who have a lot of history, who had a lot more history than that. But like just the way they executed it this time around was really good.
I think Gunther
I was
going to give a brief break because he didn't show up on Monday. He had his lackeys come out and they were giving Sami shit about winning the Intercontinental Championship, calling him a bum, etc., etc. I think they're just going to thrust Gunther into the world title picture at this point because I don't know. I don't. Maybe they'll give him a rematch, but it's not like he's going to win it back. I don't think. And having him lose twice to Sami Zayn will kind of make him look like a chump at this point. So from my perspective, so I think Gunther is probably just going to go into the world title picture. Do you guys agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I can see that. I think it'd be good too for him to rival Damien at this point. Two big guys, that'd be great. Bringing like new air, new night, new guys going up there. That'd be great.
Or even the WWE Championship. I mean, The Rock talked about how he's leaving for a while. Roman Reigns more than likely deserves a rematch. I mean, he's held the title for almost 4 goddamn years. But we'll see if he actually even wants to hold the title. That's the other thing. Maybe he feels a certain kind of way, and there's a weight to holding that championship. He might not just get it just because of that, for that reason. So we'll see. But I feel like Gunther has a potential first rivalry with Cody, or at least somewhere along this road to next year's WrestleMania, which will probably be The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. At least that's what they seem to be implying. Yeah, David, any thoughts? Any additional thoughts for this match? Or where do you think Gunther goes from here?
Gunther to the top.
Gunther to the moon, baby.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. That guy deserves it. He just has that swagger. All right, Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. Another really good match. I will say that this was below the Io Sky Bailey match that took place on Sunday, but this was still a really good match. And some background that I thought was crazy was that Becky Lynch going into this match and probably during the match still, she had strep throat and like 102-degree fever that entire week. And she still did a freaking match, and did all those media scrums and questions. That's insane. I mean, insane because she's sick and she's probably giving other people a strep throat. But she's also sick and put on a really good match. This was also one of the top matches of the night for me. I mean, I think the right person won. I think Rhea Ripley should keep the belt, give it to her for a year. You know what? Maybe give her a Roman Reigns title reign. Let her have it for like 2 or 3 goddamn years, because I think that woman deserves it. And Becky Lynch, I mean, short term deserves a break because she's sick as hell, but she just released a book. She did a whole bunch of stuff. Seth Rollins is also taking a break, so they probably have some much deserved time with their children, and they'll be back. But what did you guys think? Do you think that Rhea Ripley should have retained? Any thoughts on this match?
I thought it was good. I mean, it was the first match of a really long weekend.
Yes.
So I definitely have to go back and watch it, but I don't like.
It was the opener.
I don't remember it being bad.
No, it was good. And I also liked her outfit because it was basically her book, the entire outfit. Like, she had the cover and then bits of her pages from her book. Obviously not the actual pages from the book, but screen captures or excerpts from them, and she turned it into this really cool looking outfit. And during her entrance, she had the augmented reality images of her book, and she went through it kind of like Stone Cold through like shattered glass, but she just like smashed through a book, through an AR. So I mean, I thought that was pretty cool, but yeah. Andres, do you think Rhea, mommy, should stay on top, or did you think Becky should win?
I was okay with either or, but I think with your point to where she's going with Becky right now, with releasing a book, and obviously Seth is already taking a break, it's safe to assume that she'll be doing the same.
Yeah.
Instead of going around giving everyone COVID.
Yeah.
I was happy with either outcome, but I think it makes more sense, obviously, with more Rhea Ripley retaining. It's good to give her that more dominating title run, because like with Roman, it was like, okay, who's the one that's gonna beat them?
Mm-hmm.
But now we get that in the women's side, so you have all of this potential. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair could be one of them. Depending on where they're going with the future of the roster. But I think it's good to establish her as where she is now. And it makes it more curious now to see where it's going to go, going forward, especially now that the Judgment Day has both world titles.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think that's ever happened.
Yeah. I mean, there are plenty of people I could see Rhea Ripley go through, have a rivalry with.
Yeah, and I mean, her having someone that's more her stature, her height,
exactly,
and her muscle build. It's like, holy shit!
Give her a run for her money.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be very fun. I think going forward with her.
I agree. All right, last match of the night, match 7, the main event. We had the tag team of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Dwayne, the Rock had a really cool looking entrance. I'll say that first and foremost. I think the other 3, they got the cooler entrances on night 2 when they were doing their championship matches, but the Rock got his time to shine. He walked out and I was like, why is there just fire everywhere? And then they did the C4 sky cam. Because that's just ingrained in me. Every advertisement that they have in my face, I'm just calling it that. But the C4 Skycam showed the Brahma Bull logo on fire as he walked through. I mean, as an additional just like observation, the final boss character is, I think, the best thing that he's ever done as a character. Just the heel, the entrance, the way he carries himself is just like a real asshole, but just like everyone loves him too, this is what people wanted to get out of The Rock. They didn't want just like Fruity Pebbles, poo poo, your mom was a dad poo poo jokes or whatever. Like he has that swagger and those funny jokes, but he's got an edge, a bigger edge to it. I can fucking kill you if I want to, or I'm also in charge and I could fire you. That extra layer that just gives them that new dimension. I mean, that's insane. He's 51. He's been in the business for a while, and he just got a new.
He's dropping F-bombs too.
Dropping F-bombs left and right. I mean, he doesn't give a shit. Pardon my French.
A partial owner or something on the board or whatever. But it's crazy. He can do it, man. I mean, I've never seen anyone take so many like breaks in between and then come back and then still be just as good, if not better. And especially like you said, to your point, this is probably one of the best renditions of him ever.
And especially now that he's actively involved.
Yeah, come up with a new title for himself, considering he's had all these amazing, the People's Champ, the Brahma Bull. Like, he just keeps adding to the list. It's amazing.
And people thought that he was going to get his own title belt when Stone Cold had his Smoking Skull belt. They thought that he was going to have like a Brahma Bull looking title belt.
I think the People's Champ, it wasn't concept. It does exist. They showed it. It's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I think the People's Champ belt that he has actually took inspiration from the Brahma Bull look, because that was supposed to be on his belt originally, the one from the Attitude Era. So I think they just took like a little bit of that and then just it looks nice. I actually liked it.
But
First,
it's actually cool. It's actually cool that it's actually happening.
Yeah, and it's cool that they gave. I think it's very nice, like nods of with Muhammad Ali and stuff, and that whole history behind that and the name and stuff like that. So I think that was cool. And who gave it to him too? That was really nice. It's a good way to tie it into the Hall of Fame, you know, with bringing it on the show and him carrying it and not being like, oh, I just have this. No, I actually have it because it was, you know, the name itself was allowed for me to take, you know.
Now here's a question: do you think that the belt that they gave The Rock during the Hall of Fame, was that a legitimate gift from Muhammad Ali's wife as a thank you to The Rock, or do you think it was a story point that they just kind of included within her Hall of Fame speech? Because now he's carrying that shit everywhere, and maybe he just thought that after the fact that it'd be a good thing to add onto his character, that he has this title belt, because he can say, I'm the people's champion. I won this from Muhammad Ali. He gave me the title of people's champion, which is pretty cool, you know. As long as he's not defending that shit, because that'll make me look like a hypocrite complaining about AEW with too many belts.
The real world champion.
Yeah, or the FTW championship, or whatever the hell they call it. Yeah,
the Taz belt. Yeah.
Do you think it's a story point, or do you think he just kind of took it after the fact? He's like, yeah, I'm using this.
You know, I don't know. Like, I kind of doubt that she like said, "Hey, WWE, I want to give him a belt and pay homage to Muhammad Ali and giving it to him." I don't know. I mean, that could be a case, but like, didn't really seem to like have any story-driven points with it, other than the fact that like he took it from her, she gave it to him, thank you, and then like he just started showing up with it. And I mean, hard to say. I mean, if he was sticking around, that would give more time to play with it, and then maybe we could kind of figure out. But I don't know.
They were like, listen, Mama Ali, you're getting inducted, and we want you to give The Rock this title belt.
But I'm the one getting a belt. I don't know. It's. I don't know if it's really to like also like kind of incorporate more his character, but it does seem very fitting too. At the same time, like that's a good question, but at the same time, when I see him with it and I see what happened, how he got it, I'm like, makes sense. Seems cool. You know, a nice belt too. You know, it's not like he just, you know, showed up with a new world title and all of a sudden the other one's retired and no one knows what the hell happened. You know, it's like, wait a minute, like they changed the design again, you know, but like we know why he has it and he's carrying it around with pride, as he should. And I think it's more just a WWE thing. I don't know if it's so much her saying, hey, I want to spend thousands of dollars and make this thing. You know?
Yeah, I don't think
if it is, I don't think
cool
she paid
for it. Or maybe she did. I mean, she probably has hella money. Let's be real.
Sure. You could have also just said, hey, I want to gift him something, you know, but I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah, I think
it's more
the
WWE.
Fanatics logo on the leather strap, so I can't tell you if it's real or not. But okay, we went on a side tangent off his belt and his entrance. But entrance really cool. Roman Reigns I think he got a pretty standard entrance. He got his like orchestra on night 2. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. And then the match happens. And again, I just talked about The Rock and his personality. Also, in the match, he looked... I mean, I want what he's drinking. Maybe it's just the Papa Tui that he's selling and putting on his face. But he looks great, man. He's 51. He looks better than a lot of 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds. Yep. And... I mean, work really well in the match. I will say that there was a good period where some of it didn't drag, but they kind of, I think maybe padded some of the lack of ring, or maybe some of that ring rust by just kind of brawling on the outside, because that was a pretty good chunk of the match, was them kind of like, you know, smacking each other, going outside, going around, you know, hitting the guy on the table. And that was I feel like that was like 40 or 50% of the match. Would you guys say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it happened outside the ring.
A lot of it was outside of the ring, but I think it was still a good match, especially near the end. There was a lot of drama, and we got the expected outcome of Well, I wasn't sure who was going to get pinned, but we got the Bloodline winning, and the way it ended was The Rock pinning Cody Rhodes with a rock bottom and a people's elbow, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Which looked really good. Oh, also, as a side, The Rock did a really good sharpshooter. A lot of people give him shit for doing the sharpshooter really bad. And he did a really good sharpshooter. Because I was looking at
time.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, "What? Why are people giving him shit?" I thought it looked like a perfectly nice sharpshooter, and people are saying like that was like one of the only good ones.
Hanging out with Natty since he's been back.
Yeah, I think he was. That whole dungeon and that whole group was helping him train, if I'm not mistaken. They created his own training, ring and area. And I mean, he looked like he hasn't lost a step, or at least the way the match was produced and created made him look really good.
He did. There was that one funny clip that I actually missed it when I watched the match, but I saw on Instagram there was a part where he was by the corner, and I think Seth was on his knees and he punched him, and he slipped and fell, and he almost hit his head into the turnbuckle.
I don't remember that.
And then Corey Graves was like, "Oh my god!"
I don't remember that.
It was a small clip. I'm pretty sure, it had to have been during that match. Unless it was mixed up with the final. But no, it had to have been.
I don't remember that, but I do remember everyone memed him getting speared, and then when he was making that big face.
He was selling that. The way he was selling that was funny.
Yeah, that was really funny. And I was surprised.
My bad, bro.
Yeah, and then Roman Reigns was like looking like, oh crap, my bad.
Yeah.
But I was actually kind of surprised that Mama Rhodes wasn't as involved. I thought she was going to get a little more physically involved in the match. But maybe that's just my assumption that she was. I feel, although like they kept using her name and putting her in promos and stuff, so I just thought there was going to be some kind of like, I don't know, she goes in the ring and just beats the shit out of him with that belt or something like that, but that didn't happen. But what did you guys think of the outcome or the overall match? Any thoughts or comments on this before we move on to night 2?
It was madness, but it was great.
It was madness.
It was madness, yeah. Madness, but, pretty predictable too. I mean, but still, despite that, I mean, because I think everyone really felt like they're going to really set this up for Cody to like have to have all ends against him, or odds against him, excuse me. But still, overall great. Like, we just had a feeling that, Bloodline was going to win regardless, Yeah. It was just going to be chaotic and stuff. Definitely not as chaotic as I thought. Like, the night 2 was actually more chaotic, a lot more chaotic. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
I thought night 1 would be maybe just as much, but no, still very good. I still enjoyed the match, despite feeling like I'm pretty confident I know who's gonna win. But like you said, I didn't know who's gonna do the pin or not.
Yep.
I noticed The Rock was a rock bottom to a people's elbow on pay-per-view in order to win.
Yes. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Chaotic, but really good and expected. Like we all hope that it'll be Bloodline rules, and that's what happened because that's what should have happened. The build in the actual match is what gets to me. Even if it's like a predictable ending, how you deliver it really matters. Yep.